In November of 2016, Nintendo released what would become nothing less than an icon. For 3 seconds. The Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition, a miniature plug-and-play version of your ordinary NES with 30 built-in games. It took the world by storm. Again, for 3 seconds. It pretty much started the fad of making these mini consoles, and people were hooked. Yet, something wasn't right. We were scratching at our necks for more. We needed another. And so, in September of 2017, we received God's gift to Earth, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition. Same as the NES Mini, but this time it was Super. Now, the SNES was already a top 2 gaming console for me, so imagine my delight. Yet, what's this? The itch only gets stronger. As we proceed through generations of consoles, we crave what's next. Alas, here we are. The itch has subsided. Almost 8 years have passed since that fateful SNES Mini. All those classic consoles are remembered for is their novelty. And they make your shelf look fancy, but I digress. While the craving is gone for the most part, it hasn't left me. Long have I dreamed of receiving that Nintendo 64 Classic Edition. Despite its awful odds these days, I figured, almost a decade has passed since the NES Mini. Let's create a hypothetical N64 Mini. What if? Nintendo 64 Classic Edition. Like the NES and the SNES Mini, the N64 Mini would be, get this, a miniature N64. Who would have guessed? It would be able to run all of its games smoothly on modern TVs, HDMI and all. There would be options for different appearances for your games such as CRT, 4x3, and Pixel Perfect, just like the previous consoles. You would even be able to add custom borders around your gameplay. Save states tied to the console's reset button would also be a given, although maybe we can get more than 4 slots this time? Who knows? Now, I understand that the wire length of the NES Mini was to have the player up on the screen, like the olden days, but I'll say that the length of the controllers should be even longer than those of the SNES Mini. I'll give it about 5 feet, give or take. I realize that all of this is a given, so let's get into some new features. An option for widescreen support would be nice, although most N64 games don't naturally support it. I mean, maybe they could tweak the games for it? Would be nice. I also believe an archive mode would be nice. Something like this wouldn't be unfamiliar territory to Nintendo, as Kirby's Dream Collection is a feature with release dates, promotional art, and even 3D models of the boxes for the games. Finally, it's rather obvious that the console will go up from 2 controller ports to 4, as the N64 was the first Nintendo console to make that jump. Even with all of these features, you're here for one thing and one thing alone, the game lineup. So here's the rundown. 20 games, no more, no less. No M-rated games. Insert the segment about me being a baby here. No licensed games. My apologies, Rogue Squadron. We'll be going in alphabetical order, so shall we begin? 1080-degree snowboarding is, you guessed it, a snowboarding game. You can snowboard across different levels and perform tricks as you go. What else do I have to say? It's fucking snowboarding. Banjo-Kazooie, the all-time classic. It's a 3D platformer starring the titular bear and bird as they take part in a goofy-ass adventure. Now, Banjo-Kazooie is a rare game through and through, but we all know the story of the studio being bought out by Microsoft. Although, if there is to be any rare game on this console, it would definitely be this one. Bomberman 64 is an action game where you bomb enemies and solve puzzles in single-player and multiplayer modes. In fact, this is Bomberman's first foray into 3D. How exciting! A lot of games we will be talking about today will be the first 3D entries in their franchises. Diddy Kong Racing is a kart racer developed by Rare. It features plenty of vehicles such as a standard kart, a hovercraft, and a plane, which depends on your terrain. This game also had a groundbreaking story mode, unlike most kart racers at the time, with bosses and the like. Donkey Kong 64 is another of the 3D platformers on this list. It is a collectathon with a shit ton of collectibles, and multiple characters to play as. The game was shunned for a bit there, but then again, I feel as if the game is also considered a cult classic. F-Zero X is a racing game that is faster than any other could even dream of being. With absolutely maddening track design and 30 aggressive racers in one race, this shit gets serious. You can even kill people in this game. Hallelujah, yay for murder. Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, is quite similar to its predecessors, yet very different at the same time. It's a 2.5D platformer where you can actually mix and match different copy abilities. This entry also has 3 collectibles in each stage, and now I'm noticing that the modern entries definitely take inspiration from that. Mario Kart 64 is not as aggressive as F-Zero X. It's a more party-oriented racer with items to attack and defend with. It's less of a traditional racer and more so a kart racer. The king of kart racers, if you will. This game was pretty much a pioneer for the genre itself. Mario Party 2 is a mixture of both board play and mini games. Each board is themed differently, coming with unique aesthetics for your characters and so on. Now, why not Mario Party 1 or 3, you may ask? Well, Mario Party 2 with its themes I mentioned before, as well as a stellar lineup of minigames, has cemented it among the all-time greats of its franchise. Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, is certainly a weird pick. However, the N64 actually lacked RPGs, so if any, I'd nominate Ogre Battle. It's a tactics-based role-playing game with a rich, long-lasting story, and its real-time combat forces tough decisions to be made around every corner. Paper Mario is, wait a minute, another RPG? You lied to us! Relax, relax. This one is more so traditionally turn-based with little action commands sprinkled in as well as partners. It's a very charming game and one of Mario's best spin-off outings. If you know me, you know I am a Paper Mario elitist, so let's add this game. Pokemon Snap takes you across multiple lands taking pictures of Pokemon. Using items and such can affect how you set up your pictures as well as where you are on the auto-scroller. You get scored at the end based on your composition and the like, and really, what can I say? It's cute. Pokemon Stadium is a game where you partake in more traditional Pokemon battles. With the first generation of Pokemon, you can craft a team to your liking and beat the shit out of other teams. Add on some delightful mini-games for you to enjoy, and you have yourself a classic. Star Fox 64 is an on-rails shooter where you fly with a team of anthropomorphic animals. I'm not a furry, shut the fuck up. In spaceships, traveling to save the Lilat system from the forces of evil. There are many differing paths you can take along the way, visiting some planets while passing by others. This game is truly a masterclass of N64 gaming, and without a doubt, it gets a spot on this console. Super Mario 64 needs no introduction. As one of the greatest games ever created, and maybe even the most beloved and iconic 3D platformer of all time, it really has changed the landscape of gaming forever. The first 3D Mario game, 120 stars to collect, 15 sandbox-like levels to play around in. Pure joy. We're truly never going back. Super Smash Bros. Has certainly evolved into something special. The biggest crossover in gaming, maybe besides Fortnite, it is something special. So, let's take it back to the past. The N64 original is basically the groundwork for what would be a worldwide phenomenon. It has to be here, no question. The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is my favorite game on this list. It is also my favorite Zelda game. The story, gameplay, and just the quest itself is truly unforgettable. The looming threat of that 3-day countdown is always in the back of your head. The fate of the world is literally in your hands in this adventure, and I couldn't love it more. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is probably the most generally cherished game of all time. Same engine as Majora, same magic. Honestly, I feel as if you can't have Ocarina without Majora and vice versa. It was Zelda's jump into 3D and the splash was monumental. Wave Race 64 is one of the launch titles for the N64. The other was Super Mario 64. One is obviously better than the other, but I think both deserve their spots here. I love Wave Race. It's a blast to rip through the waters and race against your opponents, through calm breezes and stormy weather. Yoshi's Story is a 2.5D platformer, and an easy one at that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there might have been a bit of a switch up. Regardless, it's a cute feel-good type of game that you can breeze through, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. And there we have it, the 20-game lineup for the Nintendo 64 Classic Edition. I want to give out some honorable mentions now, so hear me out. Shoutouts to Banjo-Tooie, Blastcore, Dr. Mario 64, Excitebike 64, Pilotwing 64, Pokemon Puzzle League, Pokemon Stadium 2, Mario Golf, Mario Party, Mario Party 3, Mario Tennis, Mischief Makers, and Snowboard Kids. The games I picked were ones I figured represented the N64 the best. I went for a balance of both diversity and infamy, but if you would do anything differently here, let me know in the comments down below. One last thing, I made a little theme for this console's menu, much like the previous two had. It kind of sucks, but you can listen to the full thing on my second channel, Typo2. And that's about it. Thank you so much for watching my video.